Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
B16. Hanging out with best friend, let's say Oscar. Walking around at night. Head to some walkway through an estate that is uphill, but the wall on the right of us is actually just brick garages for the cars on the estate. As we go up the hill, it's very easy to just step onto the stone roof of the garages. Do so. Lie down and look at the starlit sky. Not too many stars as in a city, but not many lights around, so an okay amount, but still in a city. Notice one of the stars seems to be moving. Tell friend. Stop bullshitting anon. Isn't space scary? It feels like you could just fall into it. Yeah, especially when lying down. Still watching this light move in a zigzag pattern across the sky, but it is moving from 20 degrees relative to my head, and it will move to 110. If I'm not clear, it moves from the direction below my feet to behind my head over the course of 10 or so minutes. Pointed out again. Friend notices. Anon, what the fuck? The star repeats its movements, but back towards us. It seems to be directly overhead now. That's no satellite.jpg. Oscar and I both stare in awe. Could have been a trick of the light, but I swear that was a light gray ring around this thing with the light at the center. Hence the retarded name, the Deathstar. Oscar, is that star getting bigger? Anon, what the fuck? The star repeats its movements, but back towards us. It seems to be directly overhead now. That's no satellite.jpg. Oscar and I both stare in awe. Could have been a trick of the light, but I swear that was a light gray ring around this thing with the light at the center. Hence the name, the Deathstar. Oscar, is that star getting bigger? Anon, what the fuck? Feeling really heavy, head is dizzy. The star seems to be zigzagging back and forth, but getting bigger. It clicks. It's coming down, not getting bigger. Feeling heavy. Try to move, but can't. Oscar panics and manages to break whatever is happening to us, and gets up and runs towards the gate. Feel like I'm lying on the floor looking at this thing descending for ages. Feel like I could move, but don't wish to, as I kind of want to see what happens. Oscar shouts at me to get up. Snap my head around, get a splitting headache instantly. We bolt home as fast as we can. Our heads hurt for days after. We tell our friends in school. Naturally, no one believes us. We convince this one girl to come with us to see the aptly named Deathstar. She snorts but takes us on. We head to the same site a couple days later. Me, Oscar, and Stacy. We lay down and wait. The Deathstar approaches. .png. The same pattern of movement from the other night is seen. Stacy is sounding worried. It's above us again. Stacy is literally in tears at this point. We're all feeling heavy. Stacy gets up and starts running off, crying. Oscar bails. I lay there. I bail despite my curiosity. No headache this time. Have no idea what this was or could have been.
When I was younger, about 9 or 10, my parents sent me on a survival camp summer school thing. It was a week of camping in the forest and learning how to start fires, what plants we could eat, how to fish, and so on. The whole thing had me bored out of my mind, so I snuck out of the camp on the second or third night to go to the lake so I could not be on the campsite anymore. As I'm sat on the ledge, I see a woman dressed in white walking across the shore, heading for the water. She heads into the water and keeps going until she vanishes. I freak out and head back to camp, go to bed, and try to forget the fact I just saw a ghost or some shit, holy crap. Next day, the camp is closed down and we're all sent home. Turns out a local girl had taken her own life in the lake the night before. She loaded a backpack up with rocks and just walked into the lake so she couldn't surface. I saw someone die. Fuck everything.
Be young, probably 10, maybe 12. Dad, little brother, and I go to cabin in the woods to have a bro bonding weekend. Fishing, grilling, watch the game, generally bro out. Night of the big game, NCAA championship for basketball if I remember right. Get settled on the couch to watch. TV suddenly goes out. Dad tries to turn it back on. It doesn't work. The people who owned the cabin lived like 10 minutes down the road. You kids stay here. I'm gonna drive to the owner's house and see if they can help us fix the TV. Dad takes the car, me and brother just chillin' on the couch, talkin'. All of a sudden, the TV turns back on to static at full blast, deafeningly loud. Nope.jpg. Door starts slamming open and shut over and over, again deafeningly loud. Nope.jpg. A bunch of knives sitting in a block on the counter fly out and clatter onto the ground. Nope.jpg. All of this lasts only a few seconds. As soon as it stops, me and brother sprint out of the cabin, down the road to the owner's house. Tell Dad and the owners, a friendly old couple, what happened. They don't believe us at all. Get back to the cabin. Knives still on the floor. Dad assumes we put those on the floor to screw with him. Try to get him to let us go home. Makes us stay. Owners fix the TV. We watch the game and go to sleep. Me and brother in one room. Neither of us sleep all night. Overwhelming feeling of dread until we leave the next day. I didn't talk to my brother about this until years later. I thought I fabricated most of it in my mind. But brother confirmed everything I told him. Was scary.
Wisconsin here. This happened during return drive to Madison from Sheboygan. Be in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, USA on the highway. It's 3 a.m. and I've been driving for 2 hours, using GPS. Tired, falling asleep, nature calls. Make a random right turn into a back road to go and rest. GPS scolds me, turn it off. Make a left to hide from traffic. Sign says Salem Road. 10 seconds into Salem Road I stop to get out. Suddenly in an enormous graveyard, no other sign of life to speak of. I'm not going here. Get back in the car, drive down Salem a ways. Get out and pee, try to sleep. Can't sleep, strong anxiety. Turn on GPS and hit the go home button. Leads me to the graveyard. Stops at the graveyard. Nope. Spends the next half hour scolding me and attempting to lead me back to Salem Road. Gun for home and don't stop. I've only ever seen that road once in the dozen times I've made that drive.
My dad told me weird stories about me recently when he and my mom were talking about dumb stuff my siblings and I used to do. I was 5 or 6 years old. Daddy suddenly wakes up late at night, gets creepy, feeling that he's being watched, looks in the doorway, sees me standing in the doorway, not moving, can't see my face, not sure if I'm awake or not, asks me what I'm doing, whisper, "Daddy, make him go away." What? He won't leave me alone. Suddenly turn and walk away. Goes into my room and finds me on the bed sleeping completely alone. Goes back to bed. Next day he's getting me up for school and I have a black eye. Panics and asks me about last night, who was in my room. Tell him I don't know what he's talking about, didn't feel any pain in my eye. Probably about 10. Dad sleeping. Half asleep, hears muffled yelling. Before he can react, I run into the room screaming my head off. Jump on the bed, land right on my poor dad. What? What is it? Daddy, a man is in my room. A man is in my room, standing right over my bed. Start pointing out the door. My room was right across the hall to theirs. He was watching me sleep. He was smiling at me. He goes into my room. No one is there. Freaks out and checks my sisters and the baby. All the doors are still locked, tells me I had a bad dream. I won't have it, keep telling him he was standing right over me smiling. And when I woke up, he started to laugh and covered my mouth so I couldn't scream. Tell Daddy he's still in my room. Refuse to go back in. Sleep in their room for a few days. Tell him I can feel him outside the room sometimes and I'm afraid he'll come in. But I think he's afraid of my dad. So after that, my dad put my two sisters in the same room and moved me into one of theirs, since I couldn't sleep in the old room and would just end up sleeping on the couch. He left my bedroom open until my uncle needed a place to stay for a while. Uncle eventually puts the down payment for his own house and is in the middle of moving out. I'm home alone one night, sitting in the living room and reading something on the computer. Hear stuff being moved around. Figure it's just Uncle moving stuff. Stops for a little bit, then gets really loud, like heavy furniture being pushed. Gets really loud and violent. Go up to my uncle's room to ask him what's going on. Noise stops when I'm coming up the stairs, knock and ask if he's all right. Try to open it, but the door is locked. Feel really anxious, like someone is really angry at me, watching me through the door. Go back downstairs. Uncle comes inside the house, asks me what I was doing. He was in the basement checking on what he had down there after coming from work.
Okay, OP, I've got a story for you. Not exactly a nope story, but I saw something in a lake once as a boy. Young Canadian lad about 10 years old, visit grandpa up north who has a little place on a lake. Lives right in the area of Ontario where the Hudson's Bay Company used to send all the fur trappers. Over time, trappers realize there are so many lakes that they stop bothering to name them all, and they start carrying their canoes in between the lakes, and thus portaging is invented. Gramps lives basically in the middle of nowhere on one of these unnamed lakes. Feel like fishing one day, and Gramps grabs us rods and we walk out on his little dock and proceed to fish. Don't catch shit after an hour, and Gramps calls it, but 10-year-old me isn't giving up that easy, and I ask him to change spots. Gramps points me out a little trail that he says is a 15-minute walk to another lake that has an old little dock to fish from. Find the little dock, cast, and proceed to not catch shit. As I stand there gazing out at the very clear water on what was a very calm day with almost no waves, a movement to my left causes me to look over, and my eyes naturally track the object which is moving from left to right, and it stops dead ahead of me about 25 feet away from the end of the dock where I am standing. At no point does it break the surface, and the entire time it remains about 2 inches from the surface. This all happens in the span of maybe 2 seconds, and at first my brain thinks it must be a river otter. Slender body and small sort of arrowhead skull. But then it sets in. The proportions are completely wrong. It must be at least 10 feet long, but very thin, and the thickness of its body is consistent throughout the length of its tail, and the limbs, despite being short and stumpy, have no discernible features or claws. The creature rolls onto its side and seems to notice me, and with a near effortless swish of its tail completely disappears. The way it moved its tail and, for lack of a better word, its body language was bizarre, as though it was mildly annoyed at being seen, but also aware it wasn't in danger. I'm not saying this thing was self-aware or intelligent, not at all. But in my later life, it reminds me of a large bass or crayfish/crawdad. They seem to have a desire to get away from you, but at the same time, they're not exactly worried because they know they're the biggest mofo around. But back to the creature. The swish of its tail propels it so fast out of view, my eye couldn't track it. 10-year-old me can't help but think, what in the fuck was that? Run home and tell Gramps and my mom. Gramps basically shrugs and goes over to a shelf and pulls out some massive encyclopedia on local wildlife and goes to a page of a river otter and asks if that's what I saw. Hell no, brother. Turns me loose with the book to see if I can find something closer. Never find anything remotely closer than a river otter. Question Gramps, and he basically tells me if you spend enough time on the water, you'll see some weird shit. Later found out he served in the Navy and basically patrolled the coasts of Canada for 30+ years. Sucker basically looked like a 10-foot-long furry snake with fin-like appendages. Thanks for reading my blog.
Be around 15, talking about ghosts with some friends. One of them had a friend named Brandon who hadn't heroed a few years before. We all knew this, but never talked about it because feels. One day we decide to make a Ouija board and summon shit. Find some guide on how to do it, follow it to the T. Start that shit with 4 people. I'm not really skeptical about it, but also don't really believe in it. One of my friends asks, "Is someone there?" Glass moves to yes. I think that it's probably everybody just pushing it subconsciously or one of them intentionally. "What is your name?" Glass moves to the letter B. Glass moves to R. The girl starts panicking, but we tell her to stay calm. Starts moving to A. We all let go at this point because she's getting scared. Glass continues moving with nobody holding it. Friend picks up glass and lays it on the floor. Another friend's phone starts turning on and off. Something that takes a few seconds of holding the power to do, yet it keeps going on, off, on, off. Everybody nopes the fuck out. Go home that night, still not sure what happened. When I almost arrive home, I see a person walking in my street, but when I pass a tree, that person is gone. I was absolutely sure someone was walking there, and it was in the middle of the street, so he couldn't have gone around a corner or something. Go home, tell Mom what happened. She calls me dumb. Go to sleep that night. My room was in the attic, and they were replacing my door, so I had none, and could hear whatever was going on downstairs. Keep hearing whispers, but brush it off as my mom and stepdad talking. Suddenly, I hear my name among the whispers. Hear it again. It's the only thing I can make out. Call out to my mom. Ask her why she's talking about me. We haven't talked in the last 30 minutes. Haha, very funny. Stop trying to scare me. Why the fuck would I try to scare you? Just go to sleep. Try going to sleep. Keep hearing the whispers, now getting louder and saying my name more often. Yell at Mom to stop. She tells me to shut up and go to sleep. I'm just hallucinating. Decide to ignore the whispers. Suddenly my guitar, which had always stood at the same spot beside my bed, falls over. Get scared. Whispers grow louder, and in number. More shit falls over. Nope out of my room. Sleep in the guest room for like 6 months. A few weeks after the first incident, we thought that we were probably just overexcited and decided to try again. Do the same thing. Make a Ouija board and ask questions. The girl who was friends with Brandon didn't join. This time the glass barely moves. Keep trying. Nothing happens. Later we wash the glass out, and my friend says that there's a stain stuck in there that won't get out. Look at the stain. It's in the shape of a W. It looked like one of those stains that appear on glass when it's humid, yet it didn't disappear no matter how much we tried to clean it. Everybody was absolutely certain that the stain wasn't there until he had washed the glass. Later on, the girl who wasn't there arrived. Before we told her about what happened, she said she was sad because her neighbor died the day before. What's his name? William. Me and friend look at each other. Get scared to death. After all that, nothing happened besides my friend saying he always felt uneasy and watched in his room. Time skipped to 2 years later. I'm sleeping in my own room again and forgot about all that shit. Have girlfriend. She's sleeping at my place. Make sweet daddy love to her. When we're about to go to sleep, she suddenly gets a horrified look on her face. What's wrong? Who's that girl? Look behind me. See nothing. but get a little nervous at this point. "What girl?" She says nothing and just hugs me and starts crying. I try to act macho, cool, calm, and collected, but I'm freaked out. Later on, she falls asleep. I feel uneasy, but fall asleep as well. I thought she was just making a scene or something. Until 2 years later, we were broken up. I moved out of my mom's and my little sister got my room. Then this happened. Little sister WhatsApps me saying she's scared. Ask her why. Says she's seen a ghost in my room. I tell her it's just her imagination. She says no, her friends have seen her too. It's a little girl sitting in the desk chair. What? What the fucking shit? I tell my sister it's just their imagination, they shouldn't worry. And if anything ever happens, they just call me. I still have no clue what the fuck. Can't explain all this shit. Also large amounts of time where nothing happened, so I don't know. I'm not saying there were ghosts, but it sure was creepy.
Out camping with girlfriend, brother, and some of his friends. Decide to walk to the bathrooms about half a mile away. Grab tiny electric lanterns and get going. Halfway there, the lanterns go out. Hear snapping on the hill above us. We're in the woods. Probably just a deer or something. No signal out there, so none of us have been carrying cell phones. Decide to go back and just piss in the bushes. Start walking back. Hear more crackling a little further down the hill. Girlfriend keeps saying she's hearing voices. No shit! We're all talking! Girlfriend keeps telling us to hurry up. We're walking a little faster now. Girlfriend falls behind all of us. Girlfriend falls and starts crying. Tells us that something pulled her legs out from under her. She's inconsolable. Can't walk on her legs. I have to carry her back to the tent. Get into the tent and turn on the oil lamp. Girlfriend has 3 big red patches on her leg. Can't figure out what they are. Wake up next day. Girlfriend has little blisters on her legs. They're burns. Nope, nope, nope. Everyone packs up. We nope home. That's not the first time we've had crazy experiences out there. Also, my great aunt is buried on the hill. I don't think that has anything to do with it, though.
So, where do I begin? Well, the beginning, I guess. It was back when I started studying. I was hanging in the crowd that basically ran the local student society, and at the time there was an old house owned and managed by the student society. Keep in mind, when I say old, I mean really old. The basement was off limits for health reasons and lack of structural integrity, and the floor was held together by a mixture of old wood and beer. The building had been through several uses, from town hall to deathbed place for old folks. It was used primarily for 3 things by the students: offices for students in management, housing the various activity groups, and partying. Parties could last well into the night, but if the crowd at any point dropped below 10 people, you'd see the remaining people scurrying out like rats trying to get off a sinking ship. No one wanted to be the last one to leave. To this day, I find it interesting that even the braver people kept covering the mirrors in the house with jackets, sweaters, and other things. No one liked seeing mirrors in that place. I think I know better than most why. I was lucky enough to be in a position where I had access to an office there, and I was frequently behind on schoolwork. So it became my place of choice to sit and work on things. I had coffee, I had internet and music, and what the shit else would you need, right? Well, the days were okay. The evenings kinda creepy. The mornings were kinda off. The all-nighters I pulled, full of nope. First off, I was not always alone there. I sometimes had a friend of mine with me, and we'd work on our school projects. Secondly, when only 2 people were in the building, the policy was to keep all doors locked at all times. All of them. From the entrance to the hallways and to the office, all closed and locked. We followed this policy rigidly. On several nights, when 2 or 3 a.m. rolled around, we could hear shuffling in the hallways, like people walking while dragging their feet. We'd open the door, and there'd be no one. I know it wasn't just me hearing it, because my friend would also look over at me. There'd be a silent look while we decided which one should check. Have you ever had that feeling of someone watching you? As if there's a bad atmosphere hanging in a certain area? That feeling would be like a liquid seeping in under the door. By 4 a.m., the whole room would invariably be a hole of dread. But we had deadlines, so we had to work our way through it. The worst nights were when we could hear doors slamming shut in the house. Keep in mind now, the doors were all locked. Since we heard doors, we'd always have to check to make sure there weren't people in the building. There never was a single person. Invariably, all the doors would be just as locked as we'd left them initially. One morning, when I was alone in the office, there was really loud banging on the door to the office. I opened the door, and there it was. Nothing. It's kinda hard to explain how badly nope it felt, though. It wasn't just the sounds, it was the atmosphere, because it felt like liquid malice. There was no fuzzy-wuzzy, heartwarming ghost that just wanted attention. Sometimes, if a mirror was uncovered, we'd see people standing in the room next to us, but only in the mirror. They'd invariably be dressed in a fancy suit or an old-fashioned dress, either faceless or only with a very wide grin. No eyes, no nose, only a wide mouth, grinning. It was always a horrifying experience when it piled up on everything else.
I don't know about the mirrors, but the noises and that could have been animals?
I really do wish I could believe that, but it was the very distinct sound of feet, shuffling. Imagine a really old person walking, dragging his feet across the floor with slippers. Also, there were no windows that could be opened, or other openings for any animal to get in. Keep in mind that we also had to check every time there was a noise, in case it was people in the building. The whole place was an ocean of dread at night. I'm often the first to discredit a haunting, but there's no doubt in my mind that something was there, and it was not friendly.
More of a what than a nope, but there it goes. About 4 years ago, I'm 21 at that time. Cool Michigan summer evening, it's about midnight. We're laying on a blanket, looking at the stars, talking. There's a floodlight on the house, illuminating most of the yard. I sit up to crack my beer open. I notice movement to my left, looks like an animal. This strikes me as odd, because it's only 15 feet or so away. I point it out to my girlfriend, she also sees it. Decide to get up and investigate. I slowly approach it. I can see that it has silver-gray fur and is about the size of a ferret. Can't make out its head, hindquarters, or legs. Looks like it's moving too fast in this 1-foot square area. I get right up next to it, looking down. Still can't make anything out but its fur. It looks like it's quickly shifting over on top of itself, sort of blending over and over. It's making no noise at all. I crouch down. My face is about 2 feet away. Looks like it's out of phase or something. It vanishes, just there 1 second, then gone. I immediately start feeling around for a hole in the ground. Can't figure it out. Girlfriend saw it vanish as well from further away. I still have no idea what that thing was.
Creepy-ass basement story? Be about 8. Live in an apartment. There's separated rooms in the basement for each family living in the place. Evening. Textbook creepy basement, which always has this half-dark atmosphere no matter what. I remember always needing a while for my eyes to adapt to it when I went down. Go down to our room to haul up some bottled water. Unlock the door. It's narrow, so the shelves to the sides block the light switch. Lamps take 20 seconds to fully turn on, so I don't bother with it. Bottles are underneath a small, creepy dungeon window. They're the only thing that get any light. Shelves and racks with old stuff, tools, boxes, and general shit at the sides in darkness, but you can see rough outlines. Go all the way in to lift up bottled water. Think I feel a breeze. At arm's length next to me between shelves and beverage boxes, there's a narrow gap where an adult could barely fit in. Think I see something like a head leaning in there, with hair I first mistake for spider webs. Which can't be there. My mom cleans that room. As my eyes adapt to the darkness, it really looks more like a head with scarce long hair. Height would definitely fit an adult. Stare at it for like 10 seconds, getting more and more certain. It fucking turns around. See small reflection where an eye would be, and I'm right next to it. Nope. 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 Haul outside, fall over the step like a dumbass in the movies, crawl out, smash my head against the wall, run in the wrong direction because of panic and confusion, hide in creepy-ass cellar laundry for about 20 minutes before I climb up some window so I don't have to pass the room again to get out. Even then, I knew I was going to get the "he's just a dumb kid with a vivid imagination" bullshit, or end up believing it. But no, I'm absolutely certain. I can even remember the glass jars and the wooden plank around the head in perfect detail. Landlord still had the only other key, by the way.
All right, guys, I've never told anyone about this story because an out-of-body experience is one of those things that is so profound it is difficult to put into words. It's something you have to experience yourself in order to fully appreciate it. Plus, all of my normie friends and family would probably write me off as a nut if I told them about it. Be me. Very aspirational and idealistic as a teenager, always knew I was destined for greatness. Moved to a big city in hopes of getting my dream job. Didn't exactly work out the way I planned it. As a result, fall into a deep depression working a dead-end wage cuck job just to barely make ends meet. Have to rationalize getting up out of bed in the morning. No motivation or desire to improve my situation, a shell of my former self. Try all kinds of pharmaceutical drugs and natural remedies for depression. Nothing works. And I'm stuck at the proverbial rock bottom, struggling to pay rent and about to be evicted from my apartment. Have to brainstorm ideas to make money but can't ever think straight or maintain my train of thought. Read online about the benefits of meditation. Say fuck it, I've got nothing to lose by doing it and my entire life is barely dangling from a loose thread. Start meditating on a regular basis. Do all sorts of Wim Hof tear breathing exercises to hack my mind and become a demigod. Enlighten.jpg. Sometimes during my meditation sessions, when I finally manage to clear my mind of all mental baggage and quiet my thoughts, I will hear sounds of wind chimes or what sounds like a rusty gate being opened. Get scared the first few times and stop. Soon come to find out these sounds are an indication that I'm about to enter the spirit realm. Start experiencing out-of-body experience. First time is scary as fuck. Can't control my movements. My spirit just floats up like a balloon and bounces all over the ceiling. Physical sensations exactly the same, even though my spirit has left my physical body, except I feel weightless. Remote view myself from the ceiling. Surreal as fuck looking at myself from this perspective. I can see myself, but it's like it's someone else's body because the real me, my astral body, is wedged in the corner of the ceiling, looking down at my terrestrial form. Shit is too much to handle and I'm freaking out because I don't know how to get back to my body. Try to move myself, but I don't have control over my own movements, make barely any progress. I would liken this feeling to trying to swim when you don't know how, while at the same time being tossed around by an invisible current. Current eases up a bit and I'm able to just kind of float around more freely, finally starting to get the hang of movement. Notice several shadow-like entities in my room surrounding my body. Some are more human-like and some are amorphous blobs of black mass. Terrified but also worried that they are going to harm my body, attempt to communicate with these creatures and say something along the lines of, "Hey, that's my body, leave it alone," although it didn't come out that way. Communication in the spirit realm works through telepathy, so you don't actually hear the words audibly, but you can still hear it mentally, although much more fuzzy and indistinct, like listening to someone speak in a dream. You still understand the essence of what is being conveyed to you by another being. You just hear it in your own voice. Think I got my message across to these beings because all at once they turn and look at me in unison. Their gaze pierces my soul, literally, and I feel inundated with very intense negative energy. Beings tell me I shouldn't be here. Beings start swarming around me and attacking me. Can't feel pain, but it feels similar to being stabbed in a dream or shot in a dream. Wake up and go back to being a Wagie.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.